Welcome to Roland Manor Baptist Church. I'm Pastor Steve Harden. Please make sure you worship with us and view Steve Hargis's worship video and participate in worship by that, um, as well as the message that is presented right now. We have some good news. We are preparing to reopen our church to worship services next Sunday, July 5th at 10:30. We will still be recording the service and posting it online to Facebook and YouTube as we have been, but it won't be posted till after the service on Sunday morning instead of Saturday night like we've been doing. Our post will be that little bit later, but it will be there. We're also working on the details to try to do some live streaming to Facebook and YouTube, and hopefully we can get that done. If not, it will be there. It will be there just a little later. Uh, Let me give you a couple things to consider. First of all, the virus is still out there, and we cannot guarantee that our meeting will be virus-free. We will be cleaning our sanctuary every week. We will take temperatures of people as they come in. We're going to ask people to wear a mask until seated, while singing, and as they exit. We will restrict the restroom usage to one person at a time, and actually we urge you to use your restroom at home before coming so that you can minimize the use and the spreading of any germs you might have. We have removed the hymn books from the pews. We'll sing by what's on the screen, which will be out there next week. We will not be passing an offering plate. We'll have a special place for you to put your offering as you come in if you wish. We ask that you limit your socializing uh, while you're here. No hugs, no handshakes. If you got to talk to somebody, well, do it after the service out in the parking lot, not in the church. We will restrict sanctuary seating to about 50 and ask others to sit socially distanced in the fellowship hall where the service will be live and on screen. But we cannot guarantee that there'll be no virus in our meeting. I'm sorry, we can't do that. Let me read you the guidelines for reopening, as will be in a letter that you will receive this week. It says, as followers of Christ, we are called to gather together. We are meant to be together, to learn, to worship, to pray for each other, to encourage one another. We have been diligently working on an approach for safe and meaningful reopening that will honor the recommendations of our state and federal governments. We are excited to begin worshiping together on site starting July 5th. Our first service will be July 5th at 10:30. 10:30. We plan on continuing meeting on Sunday mornings at 10:30 as long as there's no further complications from the COVID-19. And there'll be no Sunday school classes on Sunday mornings at that time. One Sunday school class for adults only is meeting on Sunday, will be meeting on Sunday evenings at 6 o'clock here at the church. And we welcome everybody that would like to attend that Sunday school time. There will be no children's time at that point. There'll be no child care. It's for adults. We can't guarantee that children won't get too close together. How will we be seated in the sanctuary? You'll enter the church from the glass doors on either side of the lobby. The other entrances will be locked. Once you enter, your temperature will be taken and your name recorded so that we can contact you later if need be. Hand sanitizers and a limited supply of masks will be available if you need them. An usher will then escort you to your seats, starting with the front and working toward the back. Some pews will remain empty for social distancing. We do all this to minimize people passing each other unnecessarily. We understand that people are accustomed to sitting in certain pews in certain areas, so we ask for your flexibility and patience as we adjust to the new routine. And you just might find that you're going to like a new place in the sanctuary when all this is said and done. Please note that individual internet access will not be available during our services due to the amount of bandwidth needed for this live video streaming. When we're finished, ushers will dismiss row by row, starting in the rear of the sanctuary. This will allow for people to exit the building with a minimum of contact with others. Where should you park? Park on either side of the church. Come on in. If you plan to participate in the service from the fellowship hall, then it's best to park on the fellowship hall or the east side of the church for easier access and minimum contact with others in the lobby. Will there be childcare available? No. We're only having a large group worship service on Sunday mornings with no kids programming, no nursery taking place. Children are welcome to sit with their parents and be part of our 60-minute service. The fellowship hall will also have areas marked off for family seating. If your children need a little more space than the sanctuary allows, well, that would be a place for you. There'll be a large screen back there that will be broadcasting the service that is taking place in the sanctuary. You should be able to see it live as it takes place here. Will we be meeting on Wednesday nights? We will continue meeting via Zoom at 7 o'clock on Wednesday nights. Anybody that would like to join us is welcome to join us. Information on how to connect to Zoom can be found on the church Facebook page of Roland Manor Baptist Church. Check out the Zoom number there. You type it in the computer and away you go. You need to have Zoom either on your computer with a camera, a tablet, or a smartphone. Either one of those will work, and you can get on. And as you go, well, we'll give you hints on ways that can make it better for you. What if you still have concerns about gathering on site? We are doing everything we can to sanitize thoroughly and ensure your safety. That being said, if you have health or other concerns, please join us via live stream. Hopefully it will be at 10:30 on Facebook and YouTube. Otherwise, it will be a recorded service following our service. We really want to see you, and opening like this is one step in that direction, but if you have concerns, we understand. We support your decision to do what's best for you and your family. If you do come to church and choose to remain in your car Sunday mornings, you can listen to our worship service on FM radio, 99.5 in your car, as we do broadcast on that frequency. Are you required to wear a mask? For the consideration of others, we ask that everyone bring and wear a mask when entering and leaving the church. Masks do not have to be worn once you're seated. We do ask you to wear your mask when you're singing, as germs are projected much further during singing. A limited supply of masks will be available if you forget yours. Can you bring your tithe and offering to the church? Oh, absolutely. It will not pass the plate, but we'll have a box in the vestibule that you can put your offering and be safe. Your financial support has been very important during these days, and we appreciate your supporting our church during this pandemic so we can keep the church open. Will restrooms and water fountains be available? Restrooms are available for emergency use. We strongly suggest you use your restrooms if absolutely necessary. The service is only going to be an hour long. We'll not be able to sanitize after each usage on Sunday mornings. And per state order, water fountains are not available. If you have more questions, call the church or contact us on email. We know that things will not go perfectly as we work through this new routine. Please do not attend in person if anyone in your family is ill, as we want to take every precaution to protect our church family. If you or someone in your family is then diagnosed with COVID-19 after attending, please contact our church office so we can notify others that have been worshiping with you. We ask for your patience as we adapt to this new way of attending church. These are unprecedented times we live in. We are doing our best to meet your spiritual needs. If you're concerned, well, all of our church members are being prayed for every week. Please make your requests known if you have something special to our church office, and we will add you to the prayer list. If someone in your family needs guided Bible study, let us know, and we'll get some materials to you. So speaking of Bible study, today's message is from the book of Esther in the Old Testament. And I'd like to read you just a couple verses in Esther chapter 4, verses 15 through 16. Esther 4, 15 and 16 says, Esther sent this reply to Uncle Mordecai. He said, go and assemble all the Jews who can be found in Susa and fast for me. Don't eat or drink for 3 days or 3 nights. I and my female servants will also fast in the same way. After that, I will go to the king, even if it is against the law. And if I perish, I will perish. She said, I'll give my all to help my people. Will you join me in prayer? Father, you are kind of showing us that we need to give of ourselves to you. Moses gave his rod. It was a shepherd's staff. It's all he had. God said, what's in your hand? Here it is. You can have it, Lord. Lord, just continue to help us to give what we have. Gideon wound up with 300 men to fight against an innumerable enemy. He said, is it enough? God said, yes, that's enough. And Gideon gave what he had. And now we find Queen Esther willing to say, Lord, all I have is me. All I have is me, and I will give all if that's what it takes. So Lord, help us to realize, help us to understand what we have to give, and that we will be enough in your hands for whatever it is you have called us to do. Help us, Lord, to give it all. In your name we ask. Amen. On a farm, there were lots of farm animals. I understand there was a chicken and a hog, and the chicken looked over the hog and says, you know, the farmer has been so good to us. Let's give him some eggs and bacon for breakfast. Hog kind of had a surprised look in his eyes and looked over and says, you know, laying an egg for you is quite a bit of work, but for me to give the bacon, that means I have to give it my all. When it comes to serving God, we need to give God our all, even if it means all of us. Queen Esther was willing to do the same thing, willing to give it her all. Now, you may look at this and say, well, you and I might say, hey, this doesn't affect me. Whatever it is God's wanting to be done in this world, it doesn't really affect me. Just let me live in my own little sheltered world and go on. It's going to be fine. That's what Queen Esther could have said. Queen Esther could have said, look, I am the queen. The order against the Jews and killing Jews is not going to affect me. I'm a trinket for the king, and he loves me or takes care of me. Well, actually, she wasn't chosen for love. She was chosen for her beauty and her charm. He had a whole harem that would be able to please him in many ways, but she was the protected one. She was the one that could be shown off to others, and when visiting dignitaries would come, she would be adorned in all the beauty that she had and would impress others. She was the queen. The queen before her, Queen Vashti, had kind of gotten tired of all that and was removed from her office, and that's why Queen Esther was replacing her. You do not touch the queen. See, it wouldn't affect her. And when God says there's some things to do out there, you and I, we could say, it doesn't affect me. The world is a sinful place, and we live in a relatively quiet place here in Sunnyland, in a great church where we can meet as a church family. We can stay insulated from the world. We don't have to worry about the consequences of sin is bad, but I'm glad it's not me doing all that bad stuff. We can say, well, I don't do the drugs, and I don't and aren't involved in cheating on my wife, and I'm not involved in some gangster activity. You can say, that's not me. I don't have to be part of that, and I will stay away from it, and I'll be a good person. I don't have to do anything else. You can say I'm a king's kid and I'm safe because Satan can't really uh, tear me down because I will wind up in heaven in this in the end of this world. You see, it's scary. And this world sense does affect you. The virus that's out there and spreading really kind of crazy right now is because of sin and people saying, I'm going to get out and be close to one another even if it is going to kill me or someone else. Others' addictions do affect us. When other people are addicted to things, we lose in the long run. Marital issues, well, they do touch each one of us. The taxes we pay and the programs that are going on out there, time after time we say these things don't really affect us. Actually, everything that's going on in this world does affect us. You could say it won't affect me, but if so, you're ignoring the evidence. Esther could have said, it doesn't affect me. I'm not going to take part of it. Or you and I, we could say, it's not up to me. Esther said, I'm not supposed to go into the king's throne, and I'm not supposed to see him unless he calls for me. I'm supposed to stay aloof. And it just isn't up to me. If I was one that could go and talk to the king or be with him every evening, that'd be great, but it's not up to me because I'm forbidden to go to his presence unless he calls. You see, the queen wasn't above the rule. You're not supposed to go to the king in his chambers or into the throne room unless you're invited to go in. If you interrupt at an unwelcome time, he can have you beheaded, and in which case there'll be no more problems ever again. You see, there was a mode to appeal. You're supposed to have a petition to go see the king. Talk to your provincial ruler. Request an audience with the king. And there were so many Jews of prominence in the capital city out there that they could probably get to the king quicker than she could, is what her reasoning was. Surely they could get to the king before she could, and they could have more influence on him. It's not up to me, is what she would say. And we also say it's not up to me. It's out of my realm of influence. I don't have to worry about the schools because I don't have children in school anymore. I don't have to worry what goes on down at the tavern because I don't go to the tavern. We don't have any say-so as to what goes on down there. I'm not a deacon or a Sunday school director, and it's not up to me to reach out to people or to talk to people about God. It's not up to me. It's not my place. And Esther could have said that too. It doesn't affect me, and it's not up to me. That's one of the excuses we hear around the church. And you and I could say, they won't accept me. I've got nothing to use to gain influence and acceptance by the king. Esther could have said, what am I supposed to do? Go to the king and bribe him to rescind a law so that the Jews can live and not be killed by it? And that's what the whole thing was about. The king owes everything from India to Ethiopia. He can't be bribed by anything. Do I entice him with sexual favors? He's got a harem. He doesn't need to be enticed. Anything he wants, he gets. Do I threaten to kill him? Well, that's not going to work either. She doesn't have anything to cause the king to listen to her. And that's kind of our argument too, isn't it? Lord, I've got nothing to use to influence the lost people to come to you. I don't have anything to use to touch the hurting and help them feel better. I don't have anything to guide the searching with because I'm still searching myself. I can't buy them into the kingdom. I don't have enough money for that, even if it was possible. And I can't make them see that drinking isn't going to help or drugging isn't going to help. And I can't take them to Christ. They have to come on their own. There's nothing I can do. And it may be true. Their sin may not greatly affect you directly. It may seem as others are even better equipped to go. You may think it's not up to you for God to reach out and say, I want to use you in a mighty way. You might even think that it's more likely that some others will not accept you and that you aren't telling them what they want to hear. But Esther did go. She gave all that she had to the Lord to use for his people's salvation. All she had was herself. All she had was her. And she said, if God wants to use me, there's nothing else to give, I'm his. She gave all that was. In fact, in verse 16, again, it says, pray and fast for God to use what I'll give to bring about his will. So we tend to say, it's not up to me, and I don't think that I can really influence others, and they're not going to accept what I have to say, but God says he wants to use what you've got. God says, I want you to make available what you got, and I'll use it. I do like to do some things, and God can use what you like. Do you like to hunt and fish? There are those that will listen to a hunter's and fisher's story that may wind up talking about how God hunts for them or fishes for men. What is it you do like? Do you like to help people? Well, there's a lot of people that are helped and say, well, why are you doing this? And you say, because my Lord asks me to. You like to make things? Well, it could be that you can make things and give it to someone else and talk to them about your Lord. Do you like to just talk? I know some of you do. Use it with your Lord. You might say, well, I do like to do those things, and I am a likable person. I'm friendly, and most everybody in our church, I would say, is likable and friendly, hardworking, forgiving, creative, serious, or jovial, concerned, or let things run off their back. They're a Christian person. Let God use it. You say, I can make cookies. Some of you have been making lots of cookies during this lock-in thing because there's nothing else to do. You can make cookies, share cookies. You can welcome a new neighbor. They all need to be told about what makes you tick, which is your Lord. You can help someone with car trouble. You can help build birdhouses. Whatever it is. Unlimited ways to let God use whatever it is you're able to do. You say, Lord, I don't have anything but a birdhouse. Okay, here it is. Let's use it to reach out to others. I read about a pastor in Illinois once that gave members of his congregation a $5 bill. No, he wasn't paying them to come to church. He preached about the parable of the talents, where the master came in and gave some money to each one of three servants and said, I'm going away, take care of it. The parable of talents. And his question was, how would you multiply whatever it is? And he gave them a $5 bill to those that were willing to take it. And many returned with $40 to $60 out of that $5 bill. One teenager bought a bunch of candy bars and sold them out of his locker at school. Some adults did the same thing, selling it from their desk. One lady baked some pies and cakes and sold them. One person bought $5 worth of cookie cutters and then sold them and then bought more with what they sold them for and then sold them and made $25 or $30. One couple made some reindeer. that were about a foot long and big, and sold them for Christmas out of a $5 bill. They were challenged to find out what they could do if God gave them something and entrusted it to them, like a $5 bill. Each of us have been given something, and that's the point of this whole message. You have something that you need to let God use. Esther said, all I have, I give. That all I've got is me. And I'll give it to God. And God says, that'll be enough. That's exactly what I need. You are exactly what we need in this place at this time to reach the king and to save the people. Esther saved the people by giving her all. Now, when God asked the question to Moses, what have you got? He said, all I've got is a shepherd's staff. God says, I'll use it. And with that, it ate the sorcerer's snakes. It parted the Red Sea. It provided water for the people. It's only a staff. Don't seem to have enough people, Gideon says. God says, you've got enough. 300 will work fine. Esther says, I don't have anything to give except myself. God says, that's exactly what I need. You are exactly what God needs to accomplish a task in this world. It might be reaching children. It might be reaching your own children. It might be reaching out to a neighbor. I don't know what it is, but God says, you are exactly what I need for right now for this purpose. The question is, are you willing to say, here am I? Take it if you need it. Whatever you got, Lord, whatever you need, just show me. So with that, we need to close our service with a prayer of commitment that says, God, I'm yours. Do with me as you please. Now, the very first time you pray that prayer is a time when you commit your life to the Lord and say, Lord, whatever you need, I'm yours. If you need if you're willing to get rid of the sin, please do that. If you're willing to keep me forever and ever in heaven, that's great. But Lord, I'm yours. I'm yours. Will you join me in a prayer like that right now? Lord, we ask that you will help us now. That you help us to realize that you may not need the biggest, the fanciest, the most elaborate of anything. But what you need is us, individuals, willing to allow you to touch and move and shape our lives. Bless us today. Bless us with a deep, heartfelt commitment that says, Lord, whatever you need, I'm willing to give it. Just show me what it is. Lord, just guide me the right thing to do, and I'm yours. We need to let God make a difference in our lives like Esther did. Not only was she willing to make a difference with her life, she managed to make it so that many other Jewish people were saved through the sword. Help us now to commit ourselves to you in all the things we do. We ask it in your name. Amen. It is my hope and my prayer that the Lord has spoke to you today, that someone's life was touched by the idea that they need to make that commitment to Him. We do ask that you will call us at the church if you have any questions or any needs. We will try to meet those needs in any way we can.